Hi, this is Eric with Newtel, and this is a training video for the Polycom VVX500 and 600 with a sidecar. If you need to reach me, you can reach me at ehibs@newteltech.com or 435-673-7400. With the new phones, this is the VVX500. The display is a little bit narrower than the VVX600. The main difference between the two phones is that the VVX600 has Bluetooth integration and a slightly larger display. So let's get into it. If you look at your phone, your top left button on these phones will show your extension. This is 1101, says Office Manager. This one says 1905, doesn't currently have a name or a position assigned to it. You have your park keys, Park 1, Park 2, Park 3, which we'll go into in a moment. Park 1, 2, and 3 here as well. These are for different offices of the practice. And so for the St. George location, 1101, these park keys do not match 1905's park keys, which is the Health and Wellness Center. Just kind of a quick description. So Health and Wellness will have their own park keys, and St. George's HPC will have their own park keys as well as Billing, Park City, Provo, so on and so forth. The way that we use these phones is pretty simplistic, pretty straightforward. Up here you have a little icon that shows an envelope and a clock. And what we'll do is we're going to zoom in on this and we'll show you. So the voicemail button right here, if you have voicemails, it will show up with a little red icon, kind of like your Facebook notification on your phone. It'll show you how many voicemails you have. There'll be a little red circle with a number in it, 1, 2, 3, up to 99. And this is your call history key. So if we press the voicemail key, the voicemail lady will just walk us through the setup here. So we'll press that.
Welcome to your mailbox. Together we will personalize the settings.
I'm going to press the speaker key and hang up. And this is something you guys can do when you're ready. The next key here is the call history key. So if we press that, it will show us any phone calls we have made, received, or missed. So it's super handy. I'm going to press the home key to go back to the main display. There we go. Again, 1101 is this phone's extension, Park 1, 2, and 3. Time and date up here. So you do have a new call button, but what you can do, you can press that if you want to. We typically don't use it because if you're going to dial, you would just dial 673-7400 and then press the send key, kind of like a cell phone. And the call will ring through. You can lift the handset. You can do whatever you want, just typically dialing. Probably because I'm so used to dialing on my cell phone, I usually dial the phone number and then press send. And then you can grab the handset and then converse. Hang up same way. The directory, we'll go through that in a moment, but the directory is pretty handy and you can save thousands of speed dials for yourself on there. Forwarding, you can call forward your phone to your cell phone. You can forward it to another desk if you're going to be working at another desk for the day, or if you're out of town for a week and you need to forward it to somebody else to answer your calls for you, you can do that. The last key here is do not disturb. I always want to kind of advise you about this do not disturb. It's a really handy feature if you're in a situation where you cannot answer your calls. Maybe you're in a meeting, closed door meeting, and you don't want to be disturbed. If you press your do not disturb key, you'll notice this icon up here is going to change. So what I'll do is I'll press the do not disturb, and you see this icon change right here. So in the event that you have a little red circle with a white slash through it, that means you're in do not disturb. Press the key again, and it goes away. And so now you can receive calls again. So if I do that, you'll also notice up here, we have a little icon here for the do not disturb, and we can turn it off that way as well. Let me show you what happens normally. If we dial 1101, the phone rings. It says, this is a call coming from 1905 Healing. We'll go ahead and we'll end that call. If we put the phone in do not disturb and we dial 1101, the call still shows up, but it does not ring. Okay, so it's not going to interrupt your meeting. However, if you're in a meeting and you do see your phone light up, this may be an important call you want to take, but that's kind of your call on how to do that. So We can either answer or reject. We can just actually answer the call
The
just by
person
lifting the
at
handset.
extension 1.
I waited too long and it went to voicemail, but that's okay. So you can see, do not disturb. The phone does not ring. The display will still light up, but that's the way it will work. Now, the other thing that we can do with this, whether the phone's on do not disturb or not, and I'm going to turn do not disturb back off for this case. 1101, we'll call this phone. Sorry. And we can either answer it. If I answer it, it just answers on speakerphone. I can lift the handset to answer the call, and now I have the call. 1101 again. I can reject the call.
The person at extension.
And it'll send it right to voicemail. So that's super handy. So if you're sitting at your desk, you're working on something super important, a call comes in, you can't take it right now, you don't want your phone ringing, you can just hit the reject key and it'll send it right to your voicemail. For those who are in what we refer to as a ring group, so let's say somebody dials 2 for appointments and the call rings multiple phones at once, if you press reject on that sort of thing, it does not send the call to voicemail. It will still continue to ring the rest of the phones that have they're set up for appointments. So we're going to call this phone over here. Okay, so we've got the call going. We've got the call live. I'm going to press the mute key on this phone just so we don't get echo while we're doing this. Okay, so with the call on the phone, we called 1905 and we want to put that call on hold. Now, if I press hold, it holds it on this phone and this phone only. No other phone can grab this phone call. So what happens in this instance is that the only phone that can pick up that held call is this phone. Now, I can resume the call here and we're back connected to 1905 again. Hold, they hear music on hold, resume, we're connected again. If I need to pick this call up at another phone in the clinic, or if I need somebody else to pick up the phone call, I can swipe and I can choose Park 1, Park 2, or Park 3. Currently none are in use, so let's press Park 1. Now you can see the phone's idle, but Park 1 is flashing and has a little icon on it. So if we can zoom in on that, see that? There we go. Okay, so I can go to any phone in this clinic. In this case, it's the HPC. I can go to any phone, I can press Park 1, and I wait just a moment, and now we've got the call picked up. So all you need to do, so right now the call's live on the phone, we're talking to a patient or whatever, and we can swipe, and then we can choose Park 3. We can go to any phone in the clinic, or we can ask somebody else, hey, can you pick up Park 3? Patient so-and-so's on Park 3. Pick that up, they can walk to any phone, press Park 3, wait just a moment, and then you can begin conversing. So it's super handy. Now, this is no different than this phone here. So let's call this again really quick. 1905 and send. So we'll answer the call here. We'll mute that so it doesn't echo. And you see the mute key is lit red, and then there's also a little red icon up here as well. You can swipe on this phone and then choose let's choose Park 2. Now this phone is in the Health and Wellness Center. So you notice, if we look, Park 2 does not show up on HPCs because this Park 2 is only in use at Health and Wellness. So again, each of the offices has its own park groups. If you want to be able to transfer a call to a different office, we can just transfer the call. Now I'm going to pick up this parked call again. Okay, we're back to the call. And if we swipe here, we can see that the call's live there. We can swipe back and forth. The call's live right now. If we want to, we can transfer the call. We can conference or anything else. So again, we can press hold, but if we hold it, it only holds the call on the phone that we put the call on hold. So we can resume it, and then if we want somebody else to pick it up, we can park it by swiping, or we can transfer. So we can transfer to, let's say we're going to transfer to 1105, send, and then transfer. This phone's now done. Now there's not whichever extension I dialed, it doesn't have a phone plugged in at the moment, so it would go to the voicemail. Back to just really quickly the call history button. You can see right here that we've got a little red icon with with a 3 in it because there's 3 calls that we had missed while we were testing and playing. And you can see they're indicated. Blue is an outgoing call with a little up arrow. Green is an incoming call with a little green arrow going down. And then the red, let's see if we can get this to focus a little bit. There we go. So then the red, and of course I accidentally touched it. There we go. Great. So any one of these that you see that you want to get a hold of, if it's a missed call, a redial call, or anything else, all you have to do is scroll through and go, oh, I want to call that back. You call that, and it rings through. So it's a really handy feature. Now, if you're in a ring group like the appointments ring group or the MA ring group, you may come back to your desk after lunch and see that this has 22 missed calls. That doesn't mean that the patients were missed. That means that the calls as they came in were answered possibly by another phone. So if you see 22 missed calls, don't panic. Somebody else may have gotten those. Hopefully they did. As far as some of the other features go, you can press your home key here. Let's back up. Let's leave this in here. Zoomed, sorry. And then you can go to settings. You can go to basic. And you can do things like you can change your preferences, which would be like if you've got a headset or if you want to upload a picture to the phone, you can put a thumb drive in the back and actually load a background picture if you want. You can turn headset off and on and things like that. Also, let's see here. What was I looking for? Preferences, ring type. Okay, so if we go back one, you can go to ring type and you can change your ringer for each phone. So you can just go through and just go, oh, let's see, what's that one? Press play. And that's what that one sounds like. Well, let's try this one. And then when you get the one that you want, just press the back key and it's set. So there's a lot of little things that you can play with in here. If you do have the VVX600 with the larger display, you can go into your Bluetooth settings, your Bluetooth radio, turn it on, and then go back. There we go. And then manage Bluetooth headsets. You put your Bluetooth headset in pairing mode and then press scan and it will look for your Bluetooth. So it's really straightforward and easy to use. If you need help, of course, call us. I'm more than happy to help. Pressing the home key, some of the options here, of course, new call. Well, that's really no different than just dialing on the keypad. Redial is your call history again. I'm sorry, just actually redials, just like it says. You've got, you can press this and go through if you want and kind of search through there. You've got intercom, which is essentially just dialing other phones in your office or in the other offices. That's just basically straight dial. Messages is your voicemail messages. Directory we'll cover in a minute. Forward, which you can call forward your phones. It's the exact same thing as using this key. You can call forward always. You can call forward if you don't answer, or you can call forward if you're busy on your phone. Do not disturb, again, it's the same thing as this key right here. Applications we don't currently use. Now the directories feature, if we press directories, currently there's nothing in here. But what we can do is we can say, well, let's add one. So I'll press the little plus button here and we're going to say, we can either spell this out on the keypad if we want. And see, I just made a mistake there. Okay. And then we can just kind of go through this, or, it's kind of cumbersome anymore. We all know how to do this on a keypad. So we can just put it in this way if we want. And looking for the shift key, there we go. Oh goodness, here we go. Okay, so we can put in, and I apologize, I'm trying to do this hovering from the side. So Nutel Networks. Okay, and then hit the OK button. And then in here, we can put a first name and last name if we want. It doesn't really matter. Contact is the phone number. So 435-673-7400. There we go. And you can put in job title, email, favorites, index, label, so on and so forth. There's a bunch of stuff you can do. You can actually change the ring type. So if you get a phone call from a particular person, you can change the ring type for that caller ID coming in. You can also auto reject. So if you get a lot of spam calls from a particular number, you can just auto reject that call. You can auto divert. So you can basically send all incoming calls from a particular caller ID just to a specific extension. In this case, we don't need to do that. Right now, all we're going to do is we're going to do the name and the phone number. Now, the favorites thing is pretty cool, the favorites index. Right now, this is favorites index 1. On this phone, we can choose 1 through 12. And so when we save these, it will actually save in, and then we can always go and reference back to it. Now, on the VVX600s that have the expansion module, it will not show up here. But on these phones over here, on all the other VVX600s that do not have an expansion module, or the VVX500s, which is the phone with a little bit smaller display and no Bluetooth, that we can do the exact same thing. So directory, we'll add, and we'll just put in Eric, whoops, and the contact, 435-673-7400. And then we're just gonna, let's see, so favorites index is here. It's number 1. Let's make that a number 3 just for now. And let's save it. Now, when we go back to our main display, you can see we just added a button. So I added that as number 3. So if I add number 1 and number 2 later, it will move this down the row. We can actually have up to 8 showing on the display of this phone. And they can be internal numbers or external numbers, either or. When you find that one, just press it, and it just calls the phone number. So it's really straightforward, easy to use, intuitive, and user-friendly. Again, the home key here has the same options as the larger phone. If we pan down just a little bit here, you can see if you do have a wired headset, you can plug it into the bottom of the phone. And then this will act as your headset key here. So it's pretty handy. This is your speakerphone key. This is your mute key. So if the mute is on, if it's lit red, then nobody can hear you. You can still hear them, but nobody can hear you. And then your volume key up and down. Now, while the phone's sitting idle, you can adjust your ring volume. It gets pretty loud, it gets pretty quiet. Just set it wherever you would like. So to back up here, of course, all of these phones have a little protective layer on that you can peel off. So let's discuss just briefly a little bit about how the call hold does work, because there's some neat features here. Let's zoom in on this phone here a little bit. And I'll give you an example here. So if I dial 673-7400 and send, and I press the hold key, you'll see that phone is on hold right there. Now, I can do a new call, and I can do 673-7400 again, just for example. And we can put that one on hold as well here. And let's try another number. So what I wanted to show you here is that you can have up to 12 simultaneous calls going on your phone. And so if you go, you know what, let's see, I want to pick up that one. You just select it and then hit resume. And then you're back to that call. So we'll go ahead and we'll end that one. But I still have 2 more calls on hold. The reason I show you this is because sometimes you'll get multiple calls going and you want to be able to hold several calls at the same time. And while you're doing your conversations, you can see the caller ID name and number. As long as it's an inbound call, you'll see the caller ID. Or if you've saved that phone number as an outbound number, it will pull it from your directory information. So you can actually have up to 12 simultaneous calls going on each phone. That's super handy. Now, the other thing is if you do want to make a conference call, you dial your first number, or it can be an incoming call, either way. And then instead of pressing hold or park or anything else or transfer, you press your conference key and then you dial your second number. Press send. And then I always, just as a professional courtesy, I always tell the person, once they answer, I say, hey, I've got so-and-so on the line. I'm going to conference us all together. Press conference. All three of you are together now. And so you're completely in there. And you can do yourself and two other parties. So it could be another internal office phone. It could be two office phones, or it could be two outside parties. Whatever works best for you, you have that availability. Also, if you make a call, once the call goes out and you have these options across the bottom here, you can transfer the call. So you can transfer that call anywhere. So I can transfer over to 1905, a different office. I can transfer internally, or I can transfer it to somebody's cell number. This is super handy because what I can do at this point, I can either announce the call and then press transfer, or I can just wait for a ring and then press transfer. So if you've got a call that the doctor's been waiting for, but the doctor's not in the office, you can simply answer that patient call, press transfer, dial the cell number, and then press transfer again, or wait for the doctor to answer and say, hey, I've got patient Jones on the line. Do you want this call? If the doctor says yes, you press transfer. If the doctor says no, press cancel. The doctor drops off, you're back to the patient call again. So, and then real quick, a little bit on this. This is the sidecar, the expansion module that several people will have. Mostly the key, really busy phones in some of the offices. So with this, we've actually got 3 pages. There are 24 buttons on each page. And so, of course, that's 72 phones. So you're not going to be able to see every single phone in the practice, but we can organize these according to how you need them. So if, for example, if you are in St. George, you may want all of St. George's numbers on pages 1 and 2, and then maybe a couple of other key locations on key 3. But we can adjust those and just let me know what you want on those. If we simply press a button here to call, this is, for example, 1905. We'll just call 1905, and you see that 1905 is now lit. So we can actually tell if other phones are in use or not. And that makes it really handy. All of these are completely programmable. Feel free to shoot me an email, ask for any additional instruction, or if you've got particular needs, if you need your buttons programmed a particular way, if you need somebody else in a particular ring group, say for appointments or for medical assistance, something like that, just shoot me an email or call me and let me know. And I'm more than happy to jump in and help you get it taken care of. Again, this is Eric with Newtel, and this is just kind of a brief training just to run through some of the options for you, and look forward to working with you. Thank you so much.